Okay. You're listening to Rocket Night.
Are you ready? Hey, tonight I'm gonna take you on a little trip. We're going down south by the mighty Mississippi. I'm gonna take you to a place where lights never dim. Bring your mother, your brother, and your best friend. I'm gonna show you where they dance out in the street. They'll tell you all about your body heat. Not gonna talk about it, just gonna do it. Get on down if you feel up good. Now, get on down.
Well, hello, Matthias.
Hello.
Welcome to Rocket Night. Welcome to our podcast here, and I'm really glad that you're joining us today because I want to find out about the music entertainment industry from your perspective, since you are a concert photographer, and maybe you can kind of shed some light on how things are behind the scenes. You've traveled with Chantal, and have you traveled with other people as well, or
Yeah. First of all, it's a pleasure to have me here. Thanks so much. Yeah, actually, I was the tour photographer of the German Balkan band Chantal for 1 year, and we traveled to Canada, Jazz Fest Montreal and Ottawa. Then I joined him in Mexico for 2 days, and also for a couple of festival shows in Europe. And so it was not the whole year, but it was always kind of 10 days or 14 days, stuff like this. And I have been touring with the British band Fink for a couple of days, and also joined Peter Gabriel and Elvis Costello for their Austrian tour.
I forgot about that one.
Yeah.
You're really racking it up. Your resume there. Now, how does it work when you travel with them? Do you travel separately, or I have no idea what it's like. Can you kind of explain what it's like?
Yeah, so I guess it totally depends with which band you're working. So with Chantal, it was a uh, big band. Let's put it this way: there were 14 people, 14 to 15 people, and we traveled with this nightliner bus. So I was spending the whole day, night with them. So it if you're traveling with the band, it's becoming really a family because you're being there 24 hours with them all the time. And with Chantal, it was like we drove with the nightliner bus during the night. So because there were a lot of long distance travels, so like 600 to 800 kilometers from day to day. So the routine was like you arrive at the new area, like I don't know, go to Paris, and then you arrive there at the afternoon. Then you spend the day there. You have the sound check, you have dinner, you play the gig, and afterwards you jump into the bus, and then you go to the next destination overnight. Next day you wake up at lunchtime, and you are already there in the club and spend the whole day. So it's kind of it's really a hard work, and it's I don't know if this is really the rock and roll that people have in their minds, because with all these sex, drugs, and rock and roll, I guess not many bands can do this because it's really exhausting if you play every day a gig. And with Chantel, for example, they are playing 6 weeks and have 3 days off. So this means they play for 6 weeks every day a gig in another city. And I mean that's really hard to, I think, to survive, because the problem is, I mean, you cannot get ill or something like this because you have to play. So if you lose your voice, you have a problem because people are paying for the tickets, and I guess that's really a tough job. And with Fink, for example, it was a little bit different because they were also traveling with a bus, but they said the bus was so crowded they don't have any space anymore. So I traveled by myself more or less, but that was not the problem because they were playing in Austria for 3 shows, and so the distances were not really that far away. So that's cool. So I think it really depends on the bands, and if you're touring with smaller bands, then anyhow they don't have a nightliner bus, a big one, but they are using minivans. And if the band consists of 4 people and they're driving in a minivan, it's really crowded, and most of the time they don't have the space to take you with them.
So do they have like a van just for the equipment, all the amplifiers and all that, and then all the people are in another
Yeah,
vehicle?
so what I know of is if they're using a nightliner bus, it's like a double-decker bus with beds in it, and all the equipment is then back in a kind of an extra uh, trolley, or is it called trolley? I don't know. In the back of the bus, you have another thing where all
Like a
the equipment is. Yeah,
like a trailer that you
yeah,
pull or
trailer. Yeah,
yeah,
equipment
I got
trailer, or they use a minivan and have everything in the minivan too. So, I mean, Portugal the Man, for example, I was working with them too in Austria, and they arrived with the minivan and have everything also in the minivan included, the guitars, the drums. I don't know how this fit in, but
wow, that's so you're sitting there with your legs on top of equipment.
yeah, probably. And for these bands, also band members are driving the bus, so they are the drivers too. So it can happen that I don't know, you are a band member and you have to drive 8 hours to the next gig, and then you have to play there. So I think it's all a money issue, and the big bands for sure they have the money to spend on a nightliner bus with a bus driver and stuff like this. But smaller bands have to do it by their own, more or less.
And they probably have to set up their own equipment too and break it down.
Yeah, they do the sound check and everything by themselves, and also have to get everything on stage and off stage, so they don't have any. I mean, sure, there are always the people from the clubs there who can help. But as it happened with Chantal in London, we were playing, and then the show was, or after the show, we had to put everything from the stage, and the people from the club went for a pizza and were not available anymore. So this can also happen.
So most of the time you're just sitting around with them, just chatting, or do you take pictures of them, like candid pictures during that time?
Yeah,
During,
so I try to always make sure from the beginning what I'm allowed to take pictures of, because I think that's important, because if you're joining a band, you're really in this closed circle. Let's put it this way, and for the band, it's also a risk because they never know what you're doing with the pictures. So, I mean, I can also take pictures from people sleeping in the bus and then just posting it on Facebook. And probably these pictures shouldn't be on Facebook. And so, therefore, it's always, I think it's a must to talk to the tour manager, to talk to the bands, what they want to have taken pictures of. And if bands say, we don't want to take pictures in the tour bus because that's not for the public or something like this,
it's invasion of privacy, I
yeah,
guess, right?
then you just have to obey and don't. So if they say they don't want it, don't do it, because otherwise, I mean, they get pissed and whatever. So
Have you heard of people doing that, taking pictures, private pictures, and posting it on Facebook?
I have
I
never
want.
heard of this, but I guess if you do it once, then you won't be able to work with this band again. So if they're pissed, and
Right.
it's all about trust and yeah, building up relationships and friendships. And if they say, okay, we don't want to do it, then don't force them to do it. But most of the time, people are really relaxed and say, shoot whatever you want.
Now, after the end of the gig, do you have to go back to the hotel or wherever you're staying and download all the pictures? What's your routine that you do?
Yeah, so when I was traveling, I always had my laptop with me, and yeah, just copied the files, and probably the next day I had a look at them. And it also depends. I mean, if you're shooting for bands that want to immediately take the pictures and use it for social media, then for example, you might have a stress after the gig and have to download it. In my case, it wasn't that stressful, because with Chantel, the idea was to publish a book in the end of the tour. So they didn't need the pictures immediately. And yeah, but most likely with Think, for example, I just uploaded my pictures into Lightroom the next day when they did the sound check or whatever. And then maybe you can also have a look with the band members on your computer and can decide which pictures should go out on social medias and stuff like this.
So Chantal has a tour book now, or some kind of book with your pictures.
Not now, but hopefully in the future. So we will work on it. But yeah, I mean, I have now a lot of pictures from festivals, from club tours. Then Chantel also is touring as a DJ. So in Mexico, I just joined him for 2 days, just him as a DJ, which was
Oh,
which was rather crazy, because flying from Vienna 12 hours to Mexico, stay there for 2 days or 2 nights where he's DJing, and then fly back to London. So this was was a crazy.
you have jet
No,
lag big time.
I didn't have one, but I think yeah, my body couldn't kind of adapt to the time zone there, so I just didn't feel anything of a jet lag. So I think it was just 2 days. It was too less to get jet lagged.
Doing all this traveling, you're not really getting to sightsee or really.
No, I also thought in the beginning this would be cool, because traveling and being in Belgium and Paris and London and stuff like this, I will see a lot. But the thing is, once you're in this routine and you're going from gig to gig, and then you're tired, and there are people that might go out then in the afternoon and do some sightseeing or whatever, but most of the people stay at the venue and are just hanging out there and waiting for the gig. So I think it also depends, because sometimes you play in venues that are not really in the city center, so it's also hard to get into the city center. And most likely you don't, as a band member, you don't have so much time, because if you arrive there at 2 and the sound check is at 4, I mean, and then the dinner is at 7, and then the gig is at 10. So, but
So
it's
there's a structure. There's a
yeah,
whole.
yeah. There's always a structure. You always have so bands travel with tour managers. Tour manager have the info, when are interviews, when is the sound check, when does the door open, when is the gig starting, and stuff like this.
You have a whole different perspective because you're behind the scenes.
Right.
You're with them, and how. What about fans? I mean, there's all these stories of fans throwing themselves at people. And I don't know if we can talk about that or not.
Well, we can. I have no problem with
Okay,
it.
we'll go there. I'll read about it in your book, maybe if you ever write one.
Yeah, so I think it also depends on the band, but the bands I was touring of, I mean, they are not the 20-year-old guys who just are drunk all the time. I mean, these guys have families, and they are, I don't know, in their
This is a
40s.
job.
Yeah, it's a job, and then
Ah,
it's a job,
yeah.
and you have to kind of, it has to work every day, and I think it's a really hard and tough job. And so people, at least from my experience, they are not like drinking every night or something like this. I mean, sure, there will be some who need this, I don't know, rock and roll
Well,
life, but
you're up late. I mean, if the concert lets out, like, let's say 2 a.m., and then you have
sure,
to break down everything, the
sure, then
equipment.
it's 3, and then you go with the bus, and then you sleep until 12 or 1 the next day. And I mean, yeah, probably some people cannot sleep in the bus while the bus is driving. So they stay up until 7, 8 when the bus stops somewhere, and they sleep then until 5, and then it's the sound check. So this totally depends, but I guess most of the people are really kind of try to get this tour behind them, and have a daily routine where they can stick to it, and they say, okay, I will always have an app or whatever, or we have sound check, and then is the dinner, and then is the gig, and then we go to the next venue, or we go to the hotel and sleep there. So it's not doing party all the day, because I think this physically it's not possible if you have to work.
What about, I always read about certain rock stars have in their contract they have to have certain foods put out. You know what I mean? Uh, have you seen that where they'll have health food sitting out or no red M&Ms or whatever?
Yeah, stuff like this.
Have in the
Uh,
contract all these weird things.
yeah,
You, you ever seen that or?
this exists. So the bands will tell the clubs where they are playing what they want to eat. Like, I don't know, they want healthy avocados or whatever. Or they just
Mhm,
want a special sort of vodka or a special sort of chocolate or stuff like this.
mhm.
I mean, this exists, but with the bands I was touring with, it was never like some crazy shit going on. So it's
Yeah, yeah. I wondered about that.
yeah,
Like
yeah. I mean, probably with all the superstars and Rolling Stones, I don't know what they have on the tour either,
they're
but
they're divas, and they,
yeah,
you know,
yeah. But
people.
no, but normally and yeah, and I mean, sure, people say, okay, I'm a vegetarian or whatever, and stuff like this. But most likely, if you're going to these venues and they play, there is always a restaurant connected, and you get great food in the afternoon at least, or in the evening.
As a concert photographer, what's the best thing that's you like about it, and what's the worst thing?
Yeah, let's start with the worst thing. The worst thing for me is if there is no photo pit and it's a hardcore concert. No, for me the photo pit is kind of a safety area where I can yeah, work in it, and I don't have to take care of dancing people or crowd surfers or whatever, because anyhow the securities are there and they take care of you, and I can do my job, so that's cool. I mean, I don't mind if there is no photo pit and yeah, there is an indie band playing, and anyhow all the people are just standing there and nothing happens in the audience. That's also cool, but the thing what I don't like is if it's really crowded, like a sold out club, and there is no photo pit, and then you're not really able to move, and people are pissed because you're standing in front and are not moving. So this is no photo pit. This is not the best thing for me, I would say. The best thing though is yeah, to work with the band directly, because as you also know, if you're shooting in the photo pit, you have this 3 songs rule, and after 3 songs you have to leave, and you're
Mhm.
also not getting in contact with the band. It's like, I mean, it's one step closer to the band compared to the audience, because you're being after the fence, like, or in this photo pit before the stage, but it's not like having kind of a relationship, or getting in contact with the band. And if shooting with the band, what I try to do mostly now is to contact the bands and ask if I can work with them. And then I try to also get portraits backstage, and then working with them for the whole show. So this is also great because you don't have the limitation of 3 songs, which is probably a little bit stupid. I also don't know. I just heard that this 3 songs rule um, got discovered kind of by Bruce Springsteen. I don't know if this is true, but it seems that Bruce Springsteen said he doesn't want to get photographed all the time, and after 3 songs it's over. And so it seems it's not general rule that everyone obeys to it. But
I think it's probably a distraction maybe for the artists because people are there and their face kind of are clicking and they're noticing them. That's the only thing I could think of why they
I
have
think
three.
so, and probably there were some. I mean, back in the days with analog photography, probably a lot of people used flash or something like this, and people are just were
See
pissed
that?
off it. And yeah, and working with bands directly means that most likely I can shoot the whole show. I have no restrictions. I can shoot on stage. I can shoot in the photo pit, and this for me is kind of the level that I want to reach for myself, because I was shooting from the pit now for 6 or 7 years, and I always or I still work with for magazines in Vienna, and I still shoot from photo pits. but having this connection with the band and kind of working together, it's like being part of the band for one evening, because everyone tries to get the best out of it. And so if you have a cool band, they always try to look good in the pictures. They try to see where you are. And I mean, this was so obvious when I was working with the Prodigy. And I mean, these guys are pros, and probably they know to play the concert in and out. But they always had a look where I was. So the drummer had a look when I was in the photo pit, and the guitarist was looking when I was right next to him on the stage. And so the pictures turned out really great. And they also took now 4 of my concert pictures for their actual album. So there are 4 concert pics in the booklet. And I think I wouldn't have the chance to be in there if I wouldn't have worked with them in direct contact. And so therefore I always try to get in direct contact, and this is the best thing for me.
So they're actually voguing for you. They're there, and they're conscious that you're there taking pictures, so they want to make sure they do the rock star moves, the leaping,
Right.
the jumping, and when you're on the stage behind them, I mean, you're getting a whole different angle perspective. You're getting the audience. Recently, talk about your experience with the 100,000 people.
Yeah, this was for me my biggest project so far. So to keep the story short, I was working with Vintage Trouble. It's a band from LA, and I got in contact with them first when I was traveling with Chantel in Canada, and they were also playing after Chantel, and we had the same backstage area. And so these guys are really cool because they always play in suits and really well dressed. And so I noticed them, and I just thought, okay, let's ask them to do some portraits. And yeah, they were really cool, and I shot some portraits. I shot the concert afterwards, and then I got in contact with them via Facebook, and yeah, we stayed a little bit in contact, but not so much. And now 2 years later, I found out that this Vintage Trouble guys are playing as a support band for AC/DC in Austria, and I thought, why not just ask the guitarist if I can join? And I wrote him a message, and he replied, yeah, he will have a look, and he will tell me tomorrow. So I was really curious what will happen. And the next day I got a mail, and they said, yeah, it's cool, just join us on stage. It will be our biggest concert ever in front of 115,000 people. And this was also the biggest single concert in Austria so far. It was at the Grand Prix circuit in Styria, and yeah, so I joined them, and next day I was standing on stage with them in front of 115,000 people, which is a little bit scary, I have to say.
Yeah. Hope they don't rush the stage,
No, they were cool.
like Altamont or something.
Yeah.
Anyway, I just
Yeah, no, I think yeah, as you said, it's a totally different perspective as a concert photographer, and I think it's also another level compared to shooting in the photo pit, because in the photo pit everything is rather safe. I mean, you cannot really do something wrong which will influence the actual concert or the band members. And on stage, I mean, it's a totally different beast, because if you by chance unplug some cables, which you shouldn't do, I mean, the worst case would be that all the sound is gone up. Probably
you
this
could.
won't happen.
I didn't think about that. You could trip on wires.
Yeah, sure. I mean, there are a lot of wires, and normally, I mean, in this case, it was daytime because they were the support band. But for example, Prodigy, I mean, everything is dark. They have strobe lights all the whole concert, and they have fog. And if you're going on the stage back there, I mean, there are a lot of cables. There is the fog machine. There are lights standing there. You cannot see anything, and I mean, that's really, you really have to take care not to make any stuff.
Fall forward with that camera and like land, go
Yeah,
flying.
but whatever. I mean, everything can happen, and I mean, therefore, I think if bands allow you to be on stage and work with them on stage, they really trust you as a photographer and they know you're a professional, because otherwise they don't want to have the risk to have anyone on stage and doing some shit there when they're playing their gig.
Exactly.
And so therefore it's, yeah, as a concert photographer, I think that's the most challenging thing to work with them on stage, and don't be too kind of, it's the show of the band, and the audience pays the ticket to see the band and not to see a photographer jumping around there all the time. So you really have to take caution to not to be too present. So one way is to wear all black, so have a black t-shirt, have dark trousers. Because if the band is all dressed in black and you have a white t-shirt and you jump around all the time,
It doesn't look good when the come out.
yeah. So maybe that's not a good
Don't
idea.
wear fluorescent.
Yeah, no fluorescent, right? Yeah, and then it all depends what the bands want you to do. So I mean, one good spot is always behind the drums, or the drums are always standing on a drum riser, it's called, and you can stay there and you stand up there, and then you have a nice view down to the audience and stuff like this. But you have to ask them before, because if the drummer is not aware that you are standing there next to him.
Hits you right with his hand. I mean,
it depends. I mean, with Vintage Trouble, he told me that's totally fine for him, because anyhow the drum riser was big enough, and when I'm not standing directly in front, on the back of him, then it's fine. And you just really have to take care not to, get into trouble, or like you always have guitar tech guys there who just after each song or also during the song, bring the next guitar and stuff like this, or bass guitar. And if you're standing there and then just make the life of them harder, it's also not good, because you're there to capture the moments, but you're not the most important guy there.
blend in with the scenery,
Right.
and just you're discreet. I guess that's the word. You
Yeah,
need to be
discreet, or being invisible as possible, because it's not about you, it's about the band and people paying for the band.
And you're trying to make them look as good as they can look.
Right.
It's all about them.
Right, and so therefore it's always an advantage if people are aware that they get photographed now and you work together, because then, as you said, they do all the rock star poses and the pictures turn also out great. So
I have a question. It's about photography, but it's a little different. What about these punk rock bands that spit at the crowd? Have you ever been like whacked with spit? Or they always water and they spit it out, and it drives me crazy when they do that.
No, fortunately not. So I know of the old Gwar, but anyhow they're not anymore. But you know the band Gwar?
War? Yeah,
Gwar?
I've seen them in
Okay. I've never seen them, but I guess they have a lot of kind of
back in the 90s. But,
They have a lot of ugly stuff getting into the the audience. So I didn't have this experience so far.
You haven't experienced that, because I'm always worried about, oh God, when they start spitting that water.
I once recently I saw some picture of Black Sabbath, and I think they also kind of poured some stuff into the photo pit. So
Yeah, I mean, your camera could get wet, and
sure, I mean, these bands don't care about this, but from a photographer's point of view, I think it's stupid to kind of pour water or whatever to the photographers. Because if I don't want to get photographers, then I say, okay, there will be no accreditation, and that's also fine.
So what's on the horizon for Matthias? You have your concert photography projects you've been working on, your book, and now you're doing the online course, correct?
Yeah, right. So actually, I'm working on my online course, which will be kind of the ultimate video course for concert photographers, and this will be a 5 weeks course, and the thing will be, it's similar to a university course. So you have to sign in, and then you get 5 modules, and 1 module each week. So, and the idea behind is that I want people to watch the video and then also take action. So there will be also kind of homeworks and stuff like this. And I guess that's a good idea. And then, so it's called Shooting the Rockstars from Zero to Hero in 5 weeks. So I think that gets the things done. So in 5 weeks, you should be able to skyrocket your content.
Grading, or you just kind of work at your own pace? Is there grading involved, or you just go?
No, I mean the modules are kind of, you have the beginner module. It's kind of similar to the book, but with a lot more of information, because there is the basic module, and then there is a module for advanced photographers, how to get accreditation. So then there will be an individual model how to shoot for bands, and there is everything included with going on tour and how to get in contact with bands. And then the new thing is there will be a new model about marketing, so how I market my work with social media and all this stuff, and how to use them. And also one extra model with business, because a lot of people struggling with the business side, how to make money, how to... and
That's
stuff
the
like
hard
this.
negotiating. Artists sometimes spend so much time on the art of what they're doing, but when it comes to business, they get taken to the cleaners.
Right, and therefore, I mean, this is what I've seen for people always emailing me, and they also ask people what they're struggling the most. And it's definitely getting press accreditation, and how to make money, or how to do the business stuff. Because, most of the people shooting concerts, and then all of a sudden a band asks, they want to get pictures, and no one knows how much they should pay for it, and how to offer it, and also what about music contracts. I mean, nowadays it's like, if you're shooting more famous bands, you most likely have to sign contracts, and that's also a big issue, because people go to a concert and then they are presented this contract, and it's in this weird language that no one understands, and no one knows really what to do, and should I sign or should I not sign. And then there are rights grabbing contracts, so to speak, where when you sign, you give all the rights to the management, and they can do whatever they want to with it, and also use it for commercial usage without compensation for the photographer. And my aim with this whole how to become a rockstar photographer is also to get all the people on the same level, kind of, and tell them it's okay if you start out to do things in a special way, but if you really want to get to professional level, or even just that people are aware that you cannot just get or have all the pictures for free for all the bands, and it's a business. And if you just give everything for free also for commercial use, like CD covers or t-shirts, then probably the bands know this, and they will not take you kind of as a professional, but will say, okay, this is another guy who's just taking pictures. And I think it's kind of my duty to tell people that's probably not a good idea to kind of don't know about the business side, because I think this will fire back like a boomerang. And if you want to be professional or stay in this business, you cannot just give everything for free, because I think it's the only business, or at least from what I know of the music business, that people get equipment for $10,000, but then give everything for free, and no one wants to pay for them. So I mean, it's like you're going to, I don't know, to a haircut and say, yeah, cut my hair, but I just want to pay half of the price. And so that's what people are facing all the time in this music business. And
It's ludicrous. Our equipment is more expensive than a lot of the guitars and stuff that the musicians
Sure.
are using.
Sure, and still it's kind of normal that you give the pictures for free, and no one wants to pay for it. And
And I think a lot of photographers are just so flattered that they're getting asked, and
right,
the flattery is going to their head, and they're realizing, or they should realize, hey, don't sell yourself short. You are a professional. If you keep giving something for free, they'll expect it all the time. It's a bad precedence
right, and
for.
that's the main problem, I guess, because you have this celebrity factor, and
Mhm.
for sure they also play with it. So if you're shooting for a famous band, they won't pay you because they say, "Be glad that you can take pictures of us, because we are the stars and you got the pictures. So and we are not paying for it." And that's kind of, I mean,
We're
it's
like at the bottom of the feeding chart, or what do you call it?
yeah, it seems. I mean, because a lot of people sell
Like the earth.
themselves. Yeah, because people sell themselves as the lowest, yeah, in the line, and that's not right. And I mean, the I think the challenge is to find kind of a balance, because if you want to shoot with this or for these bands, you also have to offer them something. Because I mean, if you just say pay for my pictures and you can buy it, then they will say, okay, we'll take another one because all the others are doing it for free. So you have to find kind of a balance where you say, okay, you get the door open, you can kind of build a relationship with the band, but you're not, uh, yeah, undervaluing your work. So what I'm doing, for example, is everything what is for promotional usage, like PR as a press pictures, like merchandise and stuff like this, they have to pay for it because, I mean, that's commercial usage. They will get money out of it. I will also get money out of it.
Mhm.
And
That makes complete sense. And it seems nowadays, I think cell phones and all these different point and shoot cameras are pretty high quality, and they basically are putting us under. And uh, I'm seeing here in my local area newspapers that they've cut all the photographers, the staff, as far as hire them, and they'll have a journalist go out there, write an article, and take pictures with a little 5-year-old Nikon Coolpix camera
right.
from the soundboard too.
Mm,
And then they put this online, and the photos are blurry, and the quality is just not good. And people are starting to accept that as the norm,
mm.
which is scary.
Yeah, that's the problem because selling concert pictures is really hard. Because yeah, as you mentioned, right now, if you're working for a newspaper and everyone is struggling, then probably just some guy from the newspaper go there with the iPhone, and that's also fine. Or they get it from Getty Images, I don't know, 2 years ago from a concert, because anyhow nobody knows how this guy looks like now or what he was wearing the other night. So it's really hard, and I think the best way, I mean it's the hardest way, but the best way to make money out of it is to work with bands directly and sell them the pictures. Because if they say they want PR pictures, then you're in direct contact with the management, and you can go from there. So if you're shooting for newspapers, for example, I don't know how it's in the US, but here in Europe or in Vienna, you get probably $60 per printed picture. And
Hmm.
concert pictures are not that often printed, and the ones that are printed are from the famous bands. And if you're not directly working with a newspaper, then you won't get access to it because you have to sign the contracts. And the really famous bands like the Rolling Stones, I was once shooting for the Rolling Stone magazine, so therefore I got the
Saw that.
accreditation. But
That's my bucket list, which I'll never get.
you never know. But normally for all the really famous bands, you need to be photographing for a big magazine, for a newspaper. And here in Austria, it's like we have 5 big newspapers, and there are photographers who are doing the job for 20 years and more. And these are the 5 guys who will be there and taking pictures, but no one else.
That's kind of how it is here for the big concerts. So it's the same usual suspects.
Right, right. And it
And no,
doesn't, yeah, and it doesn't matter if they're shooting high quality pictures or not. It's just, yeah, it's a press picture, and anyhow, people see, okay, that's the artist on the picture, and that's it. So they don't care really.
about the quality. Yeah, it's kind of disconcerting to be honest.
All right, and yeah,
We're I spend so many hours doing the editing and fine tuning, and I'm thinking, does anybody even notice the difference? You know, if the clarity should be 34 or 50, or
yeah, yeah. No, I
yeah.
think in the end, people will recognize it if they are aware of it. So anyhow, I mean, if you want to work with a band who don't care how the picture look like, then probably it's anyhow not the right clients, because they will take the people who will do it for free because they don't care. But I guess it will make a difference if you really try to get the best shots out of a concert and show it on your portfolio, because people will recognize. But
When you, I have a question because for myself, when you go or when I go to a concert, sometimes I might send like one or two samples, low resolution, to the band, but that's it, just to show them what kind of work I do. Do you typically do that? And then you figure, well, if they like those two, maybe they'll want more?
yeah, what I'm doing when I'm working with bands together, as I said, for me the most important point is to get the door open, kind of. And what I'm offering is to work for them or with them that evening, and they will get low res pictures with my watermark on it for free to use at the social media channels like Facebook and Twitter and so on. And this works, I guess, really good, because therefore the band has also something. It's kind of, it's not just taking the risk and having me on stage and taking pictures, and then they have to pay anyhow because they don't get any pictures. But in this case, they have at least low res pictures for the social media sites. And then I tell them, if they want to have high res pictures without my logo and they want to use it for press pictures or whatever, they have to get in contact with me and we will find a deal. And so that's actually my balance, that I say, okay, I will give them the low res pictures, they can use it, but if they want to have them as press pictures and if they really like it, they have to pay for it. And this strategy works well for me. I've never tested, honestly saying, if I say, okay, I would like to have $600 and I take pictures of your concert. But I assume that this won't work because people don't want to pay upfront when they don't really know how it works out. And
Well, they don't know how your pictures are. They probably just want to pick out select a few that they like. So
right, and yeah, I mean, these things happens that they use it then on social media and probably on the homepage, and they use it with the logo, and you drive more traffic to your site. Then, I mean, sure, that's probably not it's not the money-driven way or approach to do it, but I guess to be successful as a music photographer, anyhow, you shouldn't be only money-driven, because it's so much more about getting in contact with the bands, building relationship, build trust with them. And I mean, what I can say, all with the bands I was touring with, I toured with them after I know them for a couple of years. It was never like, yeah, this guy took great pictures, let's take him on tour. So for Chantal it took me 3 years to
do you
get
introduce
into.
yourself to them? I mean, like let's say you would go take pictures. You usually do, let's say, a few songs. Do you actually go and introduce yourself? How do you get to know the band?
Yeah, I mean, there are several ways you can find contact information in the internet, like on the band's homepage or even Facebook fan page, whatever. And you just mail them. And I mean, just mail them is also easy, but it's also the hard way. And especially in the beginning, most of the time you won't get any response, or you won't you will just get no's or whatever. And therefore, I think it's important to build up your portfolio and then to show people, okay, this guy or this girl is, can do the job and can do awesome or take awesome pictures. And from my portfolio now, because I was working directly with Iggy Pop and The Prodigy and Fink and all these bands, I think I have already a reputation. If I write now an email to a band who is obviously not at that level, which most of the bands are, then they probably also feel flattered and say, cool, this guy is working with these bands. And
Exactly.
and then, or last time, for example, I was shooting a Swedish metal band I really like, and build up trust and relationship. And then another Swedish band was playing in Vienna, and I just contacted the first band and say, hey, you toured with these guys, and it would be great if I can also shoot them. And he just gave me the contact to the drummer, and everything was set up. Because you go then there and say, hi, greetings from this band, and he said, why do you know him? And that's, I think it's all about building relationships. And
All right.
and sure, we have to survive somehow, and the money issue is always big. But yeah, I would say don't become a concert photographer because of the big money, because there is no big money involved. at least only for a few people, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, I guess that's the thing. Just like the musicians, they don't necessarily make big money. Anything in the art, but you do it because you love it.
Right,
And
and I think that's also the best way to start. You do the things that you love, and then if it's the right thing, or if you get famous or whatever, or you like the stuff you're doing awesome work, then the money will follow. But doing the things or doing art because of the money, I think it's the wrong approach, and probably it won't work out, and just get you frustrated. Yeah,
I
sure.
got I got the book.
Yeah,
And
that's a great
one
one.
about feel like an artist.
Yeah.
And I noticed a lot of what you do is in the
Yeah,
books.
I
The way
got
you've been running your operation and everything. And this was a great buy. A lot of good common sense advice that I needed someone to tell me.
yeah, that's a great book. Even though it's a really small book and it's not so much information in it, but the information what is in it is great.
Good, and even the quotes from the people, it
Right,
makes total sense.
right.
So I've been enjoying those two little books there.
Great. Me too.
Yep. Well, what's your website?
My website is www.howtobecomearockstarphotographer.com.
All right.
You're listening to Rock at Night.